Hey, it's Romy Libra. Welcome to the channel. This is your September 2021 soul story, and many happy solar returns for those of you that are September born. I hope this reading finds you well. So we're opening up your reading this month with the energy of the devil. And I suppose what I want to say is it's important through the next few weeks that as much as possible you allow yourself not to be attached to any one thing, to any specific outcome or any expectation. And I suppose this is a little bit of a reminder as we work with the energy influence of the devil to give you an opportunity to have a bit of a reset. Virgo season, as we enter into this month, of course, activates that 12th house energy of release. And there is an opportunity for you, and let me be clear, it requires you to go against the grain or against the current in some way, but giving yourself permission to do so and really stepping into that sense of certainty within yourself is starting to reveal to you the ways in which you can start to untether yourself and become free from the control, the influence, the projection, and the cords that are binding you and tempting you to kind of go back or slip back into old comfort zones. Now, one of the big themes that's going to be playing out as I'm recording the soul stories this month is about this idea of energy contradiction. Now, you may feel, Libra, that to a certain degree the gap is too big to bridge. So that theme may play out for you in terms of feeling like it's too big a gap in terms of connecting with someone else, or for you to get from where you are to where you want to be. And so when we find ourselves at that kind of crossroads, feeling in that kind of a situation that might have us feeling at times a little bit disempowered, even a little bit stuck, and of course that anxiety and fear really getting activated strongly within you, the only choice that we have in that moment is to really decide what is going to be the most peaceful way forward for us. And if you feel that you have to convince anyone of anything at this moment, then it's a sure sign that you're not fully rooted into your own energy body of certainty. And so what we're really addressing when we talk about this idea of energy contradiction is you understanding what it is that you're actually asking for. And what you might therefore be investing your energy in that is in opposition to that. And it is that opposing conflict that's being highlighted all the way through this month. And yes, at times it might feel a little bit like that stress point or that challenge, but at the same time, the Lord, the Emperor energy stepping forth here and saying, actually, you can regain a sense of control here. You can gain control of this addiction, of this pattern, of this influence, of this person. And, you know, there is so much energy of reset coming up through the month of September. Remember, we're going to be welcoming the autumn equinox in the Northern Hemisphere, spring equinox down in the Southern Hemisphere, right as we welcome the Sun into Libra on the 22nd. So a beautiful time for you to be able to really address things. We also have Mercury retrograde coming in your sign this month. So really from as early as the 7th, we're going to be in that shadow. Now, we've had 3 Mercury retrogrades in air signs. And let's just talk about some of the positive aspects of what this transit can do for you this month, Libra, because what we have is the opportunity for many of those past efforts to be really beautifully rewarded, and for you to be able to reconnect with situations, experiences, people, and maybe remind yourself at just the right moment of why it matters, why it's important. And of course, that in and of itself is going to be helping you to address what may be surfacing by way of some of this energy contradiction. The thing with these retrograde energies is they do allow us to become very, very present, because sometimes the confusion or the uncertainty or the chaos that can surround us, you know, is nowhere where we can find the answer. And so we have to turn back inwardly. So you have the Prince of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles coming through here. And I do want to just highlight the fact that you have Venus in your sign right up until the 10th of the month. And we're going to be welcoming a beautiful new moon in the sign of Virgo, which is also going to be trining with Uranus and the Sun. We have Mars trining Pluto and Venus trining Jupiter. So this is going to be a wonderful opportunity for you to set your store out and really decide what you want to commit to, and actually see some real positive change and influences coming in to support that. I love the earthy energy of this, which is just helping to keep it real, and I think you're going to need that. I feel like what we're saying here is it's important that you don't cling to joy, to happiness, to the goodness, because clinging is still a form of energy that's going to end up getting kind of caught up and tripping you up. Nor do we want you to run from the pain, the discomfort, or the fear. We don't want your heart to be keeping you in the past, and we don't want your mind to have you kind of tripping out in the future. And so there's something really stabilizing and steady about this energy of the night coming through for me here, that's saying if we can just let things be and just get on with what is right in front of us, we are going to make immeasurable amounts of progress this month, even if we can't see it straight away. What we want you to do is commit to the phase that you're in right now. And some of you might be thinking, hey, this phase is not that fun. Why would I want to commit to this? I just want to get the heck out of here. But the thing is, this phase won't be here forever. And so in this moment, it has something really profound to teach you. What is it trying to show you? Where is it trying to lead you right now? And sometimes when we have to look at that kind of ugly truth, you know, of what actually feels really uncomfortable, and we sort of look into the directness of that reality for us and what it's doing and how it's affecting us professionally, personally, you know, spiritually, then we allow ourselves to get into a state of awareness and being that says, if I can face all the difficult things and really allow them to sort of move through me and take the teaching, then on the flip side of that, when it comes to the good things that start to come in for me, when the abundance starts to flow and the health improves and the relationships get on a better track and I start to have successes and wins, I'm not going to sabotage them, because I'm going to be able to find a receptivity that's greater than I would have previously, because I understand what it is to stand and directly look into whatever energy is coming my way, not to bypass it, but to look at it, to take responsibility for, you know, what it's saying to me, how it's changing me, the influence that it has over me. And so the kind of wisdom that I see coming through from you this month is really profound. Now again, we've got this earth energy coming in with the Queen of Pentacles. You might be dealing with some Virgo, Taurian or Capricorn energies that have quite a lot to teach you through the course of this month of September. And there is this feeling of many of you just kind of putting your time, energy and attention into those things that you can see some meaningful progress. So there might be some strong feeling of just wanting to kind of recommit to something professionally or by way of advancement study or learning. And of course it's a great time to be able to do that through Virgo season, but also in the retrograde time that's going to be hitting into your sign as well. So as we make our way through September, we're going to be welcoming a full moon in the sign of Pisces. Now, little destabilizing that one. It's going to be a little bit temperamental. We have it in the final degrees of Pisces, so very mutable energy coming in. It's also opposite Mars. And I have this sort of feeling that maybe emotions will get quite heightened and maybe people will be revealing, as is always the case around that full moon, things that they are unhappy with or situations that are no longer working, that sort of dissatisfaction coming through, and maybe a little bit of a stamping in that toddler kind of a fashion. So you may well be on the receiving end of that, or even have that building level of frustration coming up within yourself. Now you have energy of strength coming through, and there is a reminder here of the cycles and the seasons that you have been through. And what I also want to highlight is at that full moon, we also have the asteroid goddess Vesta moving into the sign of Scorpio, the brightest star in the sky, and this beautiful custodian of this soulful space where we hold that inner flame. And what she helps us to do in the sign of Scorpio is really tap into our shadow work. And there's an achingly truthful aspect to when Vesta is in Scorpio that we cannot ignore. And we're really going to be focusing on, you know, what feels like home, where we want to bond, where we want to be loyal, what feels uncomfortable and taboo, and we're really going to be able to face those things. Now, if you do want to learn a little bit more about the asteroid goddess energies, I do have a new report which you might want to check out on my website as well. But this idea of Vesta working with us in this way, especially around that revolutionary Piscean, very emotive full moon is going to be really important, because she's always going to teach you how to carry that sunlight within yourself as you walk through some of the darker, murkier energies that might be surfacing, and some of the emotional energies that will be kind of swirling around you. But again, it's a beautiful time to kind of recognize the resilience and what you have gained and what you've come to understand about yourself. Now, of course, September in its totality brings so much emphasis and focus in and around relationships. And, you know, for you, Libra, I think what's really important here is the recognition of where perhaps you've lost yourself a little bit in the past, and really understanding that, you know, even where you feel the need to still be compassionate towards people and things that they may be going through, this doesn't also mean that there's an acceptance of behavior in any way if it's drawing you away from what feels peaceful or what feels progressive for you. You know, frankly, your nervous system is just not going to be able to cope. It's about recognizing that anything really superficial or low vibrational just doesn't allow you to find that sense of presence and peace of mind, and therefore you will withdraw and you will let it go. Now, back to what we said about feeling that the gap may be too big to bridge, and you know, there is an uncomfortable acceptance that I think all of us need to sort of come to terms with, that right now, you know, the divide is getting bigger, and it doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way, but the more that we try to fight it and go against what needs to kind of fall out by way of energy momentum, what we tend to do is sort of disconnect ourselves from our own innate trust. And everything that is coming through for you this September, Libra, is about this energy of independence, of personal sovereignty, of really being clear and clean in your own energy, knowing what's right for you so that you can regain control and release yourself from the fear, from the, you know, toxicity and the energies that are no longer working in your pathway. Now, I have a feeling that there's going to be some important announcements that you're going to be wanting to make, and you are very persuasive through this month. You know, Venus in your sign in the first part of September, and then Mars moving into your sign mid-month, and then of course the Sun coming into Libra from the 22nd puts you in this really magnetic space. So anything that you're trying to do, where you're trying to be extra resourceful, as long as you can be open to adjustments and changes and last minute alterations to things, I think you're going to find yourself being in a really strong affirmative position to be able to be heard and to have influence in terms of what you have to say. Now, one of the things that I want to say to you is also, during the process of whatever might be playing out for you through the month of September, I think it would be really advantageous for you to kind of take some sort of record of this. Notes, if you like, whether it's voice notes or just scribbles in a notebook or a journal, because there's something for me about the way that you're going to want to reference your experiences, what you've learned, what you've gained, that's going to be absolutely invaluable to you moving forward. Because I think, number one, it's going to help you to recognize, okay, I don't want to do it like I used to do it anymore, or this is what I've learned, this is how I changed. And sometimes we forget, don't we? We tend to gloss over the facts. And even when we are looking back, it can be with a little bit of rose-tinted glasses. So it helps on both levels, you know. It reminds you of where things were not desirable and how uncomfortable they did feel. But at the same time, when things were really good, and a recognition of actually what felt right within your soul also needs to have this aspect of being recorded in some way, because down the line you're going to be using that, even if it's just for your own personal soul growth and spiritual journey, or perhaps you might use that in a more formal capacity. You know, maybe it's writing that you're going to be sharing, or things that are going to be important in relationships, or things that you want to achieve for yourself moving forward. So we have the energy of the King of Wands coming in. I love the fire and the spirited warmth that he's bringing. And with the Nine of Pentacles, it's also showing me you have a tremendous capacity to be really like entrepreneurial and instinctive through the course of this month. Now, it doesn't matter if you're not an entrepreneur yourself, like anything that you're trying to do professionally, what this does is it gives you this vibe of just knowing. I just have this deep innate trust of like what I'm supposed to do next, what's going to work, what's going to land well for people. And that's going to help you by way of the relationships and the connections that you have within the work that you do with your clients, with your co-workers, even, you know, with authority figures. And this is important because what we want you to be doing through the course of September, Libra, is really building that sense of self-confidence and belief that I know what's best for me. I know what's right for me, and you do. And the more that you can start to express that in your energy, the more things are going to start to feel less like you're being told at every single moment of the day what you can and cannot do, and you're going to start to feel more empowered and confident within yourself, and you start to pre-pave that sense of energy so that you do have that sense of beautiful freedom and release of the restriction, regardless of what might be playing out in the chaotic environment that surrounds you. Now, the King of Wands is also bringing this energy of, for me, like a safe harbor, you know. He's creating a space for you. So this might be something that you're focusing on really within yourself, but also the environments with which you operate. So I feel like you're going to be much more pulled and drawn towards those people that they themselves just have a very clear sense of who they are. And I think that's going to help you to decide where you want to be. And again, this might be, because we mentioned this at the start of the reading, that you will to some extent be going against the current or against the grain in terms of what people expect from you, or, you know, what their expectations may have been. But what I'm really sensing is that your true strength is emerging now in a way that kind of, you have no tolerance. You just have no tolerance, like, period, full stop. And what that means is that there's really only one choice for you to make. So I think it's going to feel pretty clear in your gut. So even if your heart is kind of calling you, yearning you back into these kind of comfort zones and the temptations, you know, and remember, of course, these retrograde seasons always bring people back, don't they, to a certain degree. And sometimes that can be really beneficial just to see how far we've come. Sometimes it's important to recognize that something that we may have thought was broken actually does have a little bit more mileage for us, and there's something that we can learn from the experience. But overall, this really is about you recognizing, I need to do what's right for me. And this energy of the Four of Cups, it's funny because I feel some of you are going to be having this situation through September where aspects of your life feel like they are coming together, and yet there's an emptiness to that. There's an emptiness to that. It's like, why can I not feel happier about the fact that I just got what I wanted over here in my career, and yet here in my personal life and my love life, you know, it's worse than it's ever been, or vice versa. Or, you know, I've got the success that I wanted and a beautiful loving relationship and family, but my health has really taken a knock. And so there's this sense of just finding it difficult to be able to kind of fully embrace what's working because of that one aspect that still feels like it's massively out of sync. And the thing is, it probably feels even more exacerbated to be out of sync because other things are starting to work well. And back to what we talked about with this idea of energy contradiction, you know, because if there are beautiful things that are starting to come together, if we can start to believe the way in which Spirit have been guiding us towards those eventualities all of the time, then what we're starting to recognize is that state of presence and peace. And sometimes, you know, the Four of Cups can bring about that sense of almost boredom, melancholy. It's like, you know, I just kind of feel like I've got quite low energy and I can't motivate myself. I can't really see what's around the corner or what's right in front of me or behind me in this instance. And so what we're inviting you to do is to kind of recognize that sometimes that state of being can actually be incredibly helpful. You know, we're not always in a doing phase. You know, with so many planets now retrograde from mid-month of September, you know, it is that opportunity to just kind of slow it down a little bit. And you can actually end up being far more productive doing a little bit less than trying to kind of cram in so many things. And because the energy is changing so fast and it's changing with such a degree of intensity, sometimes our energy body just kind of switches us off and puts us into this almost meditative, quite state that feels like we might have this almost melancholic vibe going on, and yet it can be really beneficial for enabling us to kind of process something really important. So as we talk about this idea of not clinging to joy and happiness and not running from the pain or the fear, you may find yourself in that energy of the Four of Cups for a little while, but that's okay, because it's helping to just recalibrate and reset something for you that I think is going to be really important. I think there may be offers or invitations that come and you don't necessarily like see them or even receive them straight away. You know, that scrambling of communication or information may be that it just gets lost. So make sure you just like double check your junk file or your spam filters in your email. Make sure that, you know, there's not a voicemail that you didn't miss. And even that somebody has forgotten to tell you something exceptionally important about someone who's trying to reach you or wants to talk to you. I just feel like that kind of an energy is going to be quite strong, especially as Mercury is in your sign going retrograde. Now your Knight of Wands is wonderful because he's the complete kind of antithesis to that Four of Cups. So this is what I'm saying about this vibe of commit to the phase. It has something to show you and it's not going to be around for long. It's very, very temporary, in fact, that Four of Cups, because soon enough you have this vibe as we come in, particularly to your solar returns, and you get that fresh boost of cosmic sun energy that brings a sense of vitality, and it wants you to kind of make a move on something. This is perhaps where we see your announcements being made, projects being kind of talked about. Now, okay, it's not always the best time for launches around this retrograde period, but if you're going back over something and repositioning it, that can work really favorably. But also you might be taking something further, taking something to the next step. There's a really spirited, spiritual kind of energy momentum that I feel you're going to tap into here. I also think there's a strong emphasis around this fire energy. So I think that by way of people who are in your life, Aries, Sagittarius or Leo, I think there's something really valuable that they are teaching you this month. Now for some of you it might be I don't know, maybe slightly less desirable in terms of things that they're doing that really irk you or feel triggering to you, but at the same time I think we can learn from that. For others, I think they're coming in with really harmonious reminders of actually what you have by way of potential within the self. And you know, remember, especially around that full moon in Pisces, where you may be having a little bit more of an uncomfortable emotive exchange with somebody, there's this opportunity as we head into the equinox to really rebalance and shift that out. And remember, Vesta and Scorpio really helping you, especially as she's going to be through that second sign of value for you. Strong emphasis in and around relationships, your money story, your financial stability and security. There's an aspect of considering around relocation or moving something, shifting something. Metaphorically, it might just be like moving a date back, but for others, I feel like there's something about moving it forward. Again, we have this aspect of things being a little bit unpredictable, and so spontaneous kind of last minute acts of beautiful magic and synchronicity can come up this month. So I don't want you to get too committed to the deliverance of anything this month. I think you can have those kind of conversations that say, you know what, I'll do my best and I'll look into this, but I can't give you like a firm yes or a no, because I think there's going to be more things that come to light and perhaps like better options or more to consider. I think by way of relationships, there's a sense of you needing to kind of hold your own or stand firm in relation to something, Libra. And I want you to also remember that regardless of how sweet or how rosy a picture is being painted for you, you know, if it requires some sense of compromise that just feels not viable for you, you're going to have to really listen into that intuition at the moment. So your oracle card to join this conversation is well-being, self-preservation, service to spirit, youthful experience. We have this beautiful loving energy here, very Libran really. We've got the pink roses showing, and there is this sense of complete certainty and trust that she's really expressing here. And this aspect of self-preservation for me is really important. Again, like we said, as we talk about your nervous system, your energy body, and the recognition of who is and isn't good for you, what is and isn't going to be conducive to your continued healing, your continued motivation and ability to be able to get on and do things that you're meant to be doing right now. I think you're going to be feeling this really strong pull and strong calling to be kind of addressing or investing your energy in certain ways. And again, when we talk about this energy contradiction, if you're getting things that are manifesting that are not what you'd anticipated through the month of September, you know, you have that devil energy who's kind of here as a little bit of a fly in the ointment, shall we say. It's only here as a service to remind you what needs to be adjusted. And I think you're going to get that message really loud and clear, Libra. And in some aspects, it's kind of what we want, isn't it? Because we don't always get the opportunity to measure our growth unless we come up against some of these moments where we say, well, that's not working, or clearly that's not what I asked for. And then we start to look at actually where we've been directing our energy, and then we get a much clear indication of what needs to change. So your astrology card is Aquarius, originality, philanthropy, and progressive imaginings. Of course, Aquarius really dominating still, as we have Saturn and Jupiter retrograde right now in the sign. We've just come through that double full moon in Aquarius, so a lot has been revealed, I think, for Libra in that 5th house energy. And I think there's a lot of learnings that you're still taking time to consider and review, and that's okay. I just don't want you to rush anything right now, because I feel this reset energy that you're making and allowing that equinox to come in and sort of rebalancing something for you is going to be really important. And I suppose I want to put a little bit of a focus around what you're going to be doing right now and the way in which it's going to completely transform your life by the time we come around into the new moon in Aquarius in 2022, because I think you're going to find it could be pretty spectacular in some regards, just by way of the sheer unexpected direction that surfaces, or something that you had no real appreciation could actually happen in the way that it does, as quickly as it will, and actually as positively, and I say that, you know, genuinely. Now your crystal energy here is fluorite, beautiful, introspection. Well, you know, this is really the vibe of the day, isn't it, with all of this retrograde energy. And even as we work through Virgo, that beautiful, grounded, healing maiden energy that helps us to kind of reconnect to the earth, reconnect to the energy around us. Fluorite can also be a beautiful protective stone and energy, and you can work with its rainbow rays really surrounding your energy body and your auric field with fluorite, especially if you're coming into contact with people who you know and you do care about, and there's compassion and love there, but at the same time you want to not accept or tolerate any kind of behaviour or projection that is somehow impacting you on a deeper level. So Libra, this is a general reading for the month of September. If you'd like to join me for the extended version, we're going to go ahead and pull some clarification cards. You can find the link for this in the description box and the comment section underneath. It's just a way to support my channel, and there's another 20 minutes or so of deeper insight. So I'm going to invite you to just think about a question I might not have answered in the main part of the spread. We'll go ahead and pull you a couple of cards that will cover off in that particular reading for you. Let's just clarify this energy of the devil coming up now. By the way, you can also find all the decks that I use in the description box underneath the energy. Ace of Pentacles, Seven of Pentacles, and the Emperor again. Interesting. I mean, we do have a couple of like stress points coming through this month, where Venus is going to be squaring Pluto on the 5th of the month, and then Venus also squaring Saturn on the 17th. So keep an eye out for these two dates, because that's where you may be coming up against some control or power issues, argumentative or difficult situations where you feel a little bit under pressure. But there's that King of Wands again. Seven of Swords. Interesting twist there. Who can we trust in this aspect? And what's going on with our own sense of self-trust? There's this spark of something that I feel is going to be creating a little bit of a new vision for you. And it's about this month figuring out what the building blocks are going to be for that. Oh, beautiful. The Strength and the Fool. having what it takes to just completely start over, start again, walk into a new timeline and a new chapter with yourself, with someone else. Devotion, beautiful. This Queen of Swords for me feels a little bit interfering. I know she often represents your energy, Libra. I don't feel this is you, because that Nine of Coins is really representative of you for me this month. So curious to see how that plays out. Of course, the Lovers can sometimes be, you know, business related as well as personally. I think some of you might be dealing with, you know, quite a lot of mental health stuff going on this month, but again, we have a lot of balance coming in for you. So perhaps there's going to be a discovery or a ability for you to find something that works for you, that really helps to stabilize your energy a little bit differently, or improve your mood. Looking at something that feels like a breakthrough for many of you. Lovely High Priestess and the Empress, beautiful. Okay, Libra, thank you so much for joining me. Have a beautiful month of September and enjoy your solar returns. And if you're joining me for the extended, thank you so much, and I'll see you there. Bye for now.